This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla in the new Full Battle Rattle Studios.
Don't diminish men, because we know the scripture and we know God created man first, and then he had a better idea.
Along with Sarah Palin, she is a supporter of the Moms March, which is growing. She's a former Hollywood actress, and now she's the counterculture mom. We're so happy to have Tina Marie Griffin with us today on the Palin Update to talk about the hypocrisy of Hollywood and to discuss what we can do to protect our kids from the worst entertainment has to offer. Stay tuned for Tina Marie Griffin. Plus, we'll have the latest national and Alaska headlines in Sarah Palin News. We'll visit the Crow's Nest with Tanya Crow in California. And a brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert is coming up from Texas. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio, available at mamagrizzlyradio.com and now available at sarahpalin.com by clicking the More tab. The Palin Update is sponsored by Full Battle Rattle. Full Battle Rattle, helping veterans suffering from combat-related disabilities through the healing power of music. Learn more at facebook.com/fullbattlerattle.abq. Now we say hello to a woman who knows all about pop culture, the good and the mostly very bad. She's a former actress, and now this Christian Mama Grizzly is a popular speaker and a warrior for our God, our country, and our kids. And right now, we welcome Tina Marie Griffin to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Very, very excited.
You know, I want to get your assessment on this from someone who's been in the business in Hollywood, because, you know, we've had so many actors on here and musicians and those who are in the entertainment industry, and they've all kind of fallen along this line when we talk to them about this. And just from watching it from afar, it seems Hollywood has always been liberal. It's always been slanted. It's always been a club, but it just seems it's gotten worse and worse and worse to the point where it's so far left now, it's really unrecognizable to the original liberal Hollywood. Is that fair?
Yeah, you're definitely on the right track. When I lived out there for a decade doing film and TV, I love the Lord. I was Republican, and I had a couple of Republican bumper stickers, and I got some not so nice hand gestures through the side doors of cars as they passed me, and people trying to, bump me in the rear end there on the highways and at the stoplights. And that was, 10 years ago. So I'm probably, for my safety, it's probably better that I am here in the middle of Missouri, soon to be Nashville.
Yeah, there you go. We hear that. I know a lot of friends who have two that work very hard on this show. One moved from California to Texas, one moved from California to Idaho, and what a difference that jump makes in the same country. But obviously we have people on this staff who have a Hollywood background. We've had so many actors on this program. It's amazing that you went in there right away, and you said you love the Lord, and perhaps that's the reason why that you weren't afraid to talk about your background, because some people, they just keep quiet because fear of losing their job, and not just those in front of the camera, but those behind the camera, writers, everybody in the business.
Yeah, and I mean, Tim Allen, who is in the heat the last couple of years. Several actors recently quit their 3, 4, 5 year or 5 decade long careers, loving the acting deal, but just getting so much heat because they might have a different view from the typical liberal stance. It's a tough business. I have to tell you, though, at the same time, I had a great 10 years. I met a lot of neat people from both sides. Back then, it seemed like people were okay if you had a different stance. Today, it's a lot more in your face. You're afraid to speak up. If you do speak up, you're kicked out of the industry, not offered a job for another movie role. It's life or death, really, if you have a different view and you're living in L.A.
How about what we're hearing about recently, and President Trump even getting into the fray here on Twitter and addressing its major sexual harassment and assault charges out of Hollywood? And we're not hearing much from actors, from women who are actors, to stand up to what has allegedly gone on here for years. Yet, when it is a conservative, when it is the president, when it is someone they don't like, they are the first ones to chastise, the first ones to correct, the first ones to speak out against. So, one, what do you think of the allegations that are coming out of Hollywood? And two, does it surprise you the silence of the actors, particularly the women actors, who aren't saying a thing about it?
I think there's a couple of sides this case. I honestly think the people that would like to speak up are afraid to speak up in case they might literally disappear. I know that's happened a lot. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes in Hollywood. I was a casting director intern when I first moved there at the age of 20 for Universal Studios while I was going to Cal State Los Angeles for my film degree. And there's a lot of witchcraft that's also tied to it, where a lot of people are abused, and that's a hush-hush situation. You have Ashton Kutcher, whom I personally believe we have to keep in prayer over because he just helped with his organization put over 2,000 pedophiles, they exposed, and also thousands of kids were now put in finally arms of safety, put in, safety areas where they were rescued from child pornography and being abused and molested in the industry. And that is in the heart of it. I mean, he's in the heart of Hollywood doing that. We have Corey Feldman, who's also, I'm working on getting him as a guest here on Hollywood Insider. I host a show where we expose the lies of pop culture in Hollywood. And so he has a whole testimony, many different videos that are out there where he talks about the fact that his friend Corey, what was his last name?
Corey Haim.
The guy. Corey Haim, yes. And Corey Haim killed himself over being abused. There's a lot going on. I think it's a very big problem. And I believe the people that should be speaking up are afraid to because of the fact that they could disappear, be killed over it, really.
Yeah, and it shows, too, the major hypocrisy here, too, because the alleged victims are far left activists, some of them. I mean, they've spoken out for Democrats and against President Trump and against conservative agendas. And yet when they become the victims of someone powerful like a Harvey Weinstein, well, then everyone looks the other way. Saturday Night Live did not address him at all. They were questioned about that, and Lorne Michaels gave some sort of a line of, oh, well, he's a New Yorker type of thing. And last time I checked, so was President Trump. So
that's about it. And I really think that if people are all networked together and working for each other and on the same team, in this case, an evil team, they don't want to rat each other out. And who knows how big the problem really is. Once you start exposing one thing, there's 10 things connected to it. I totally give credit to President Trump for exposing what's going on. He's the right man in the office, and Ephesians 5:11 is one of my favorite verses. Have nothing to do with the deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. And I see that happening in our country, and I think that's fantastic that people are willing to put their life on the line to do the right thing.
What I find really cool about counterculturemom.com, and we want to direct people there, of course, is that, and I guess in the word mom, we hear that, and here we're Mama Grizzly Radio and talking about kids a lot. You are really out there, fighting for our country and through and for God and everything else, but you're really fighting for our children, and I think that's so appreciated by so many people, and this ties in, I would say, to your Hollywood background, right? I mean, you saw some of the worst treatment of children or just kids who aren't involved in Hollywood, but the images and the things they're seeing from Hollywood. You see so many parents that, they let the television or the electronic device take over some of the parenting, and some of it's innocent where they think the child's looking at something that is for children, but they're really seeing some stuff and hearing some stuff that's very detrimental.
Yeah, they are. And, 15 years ago when I first started Counterculture Mom, at that point it was Tina Marie Live, pre 4 kids in 4 years and not meeting my husband yet. I started seeing some major issues, but now it's that much worse. You have violent video games that endorse beheadings, burning of bodies, and this is for the last couple of years, but primarily like Friday the 13th video game that came out in May this year, for example. My gut physically twists. I feel physically ill when I see these images, and I speak at parent conferences. A lot of them have no clue. They're like, what? That's in the video game? My son plays that 5 hours a day. First of all, 5 hours is way too much. That's a whole other conversation. But to be,
right.
The
Agreed.
gamer doing this, it's so alarming to me. And here's what's wild. Being in Hollywood for 10 years, I met so many of these celebrities face to face. I was a personal driver for Ray Liotta, who actually has been in, movies like Hannibal, probably one of his first movies that he was in. Gruesome, violent movie. I didn't see it. I saw the reviews because I don't want to have nightmares at night. But he had me in his house, and I was his driver for the Oscars a couple years back. And he said, "Hey, I protect my kids. They only see positive entertainment." He goes, I have to connect and go to these Hollywood parties, and I drove him from party to party after the Oscars was done. But he said, I do this just to keep my, face and name in the business. But he goes, I can't stand this party scene. This isn't me. And he's a very good dad. He protects his kids. But he's also the voice of several characters in the different Grand Theft Auto video game series, the very same stuff that he shelters his kids from. We've got people like Eminem. I talked about him for 15 years. That guy rewrote the lyrics for his own kids to listen to while growing up. I was on a Focus on the Family cruise. I spoke with a bunch of high-profile other speakers. I had one girl run up to me at the end of me speaking. She said, "Tina, oh my gosh, I was Haley's best friend in middle school." Haley is Eminem, Marshall Mathers' daughter. "Oh man, we'd be on the playground and guys would come up, start rapping his music." And she said, "My dad doesn't sing those words. He sings these words." Totally clean lyrics. And of course, there's been, stuff out in the media to show that when he was in different interviews. To me, it was enough stuff that I saw firsthand while mentoring kids in LA at the Oasis Church I was involved with for almost a decade, seeing them and hearing their stories about being raped while in school, trying to dress like, a person working on the street because that's what they saw their favorite musician wearing clothes on stage like that, getting the wrong attention, becoming pregnant at 13. And when I asked them, "Why do you think you have to live this lifestyle?" they would list off celebrities I would be working with in the business on a daily basis, and the light bulb went off in my head thinking I've got to tell them that what they see is not reality, and the consequences these celebrities should be showing in entertainment are not showing. They glamorize very harmful behaviors but shelter their own kids. Hence, this is how the ministry basically got started.
Well, I think a lot of things you hit on are very important. First of all, I like the fact that you're saying, when you've exposed some of the things that are in some of these shows or video games or whatnot to parents that they don't even know. They're like, "Oh, really?" And that's what I spoke of before. It's the apathy really more than anything. Hey, look, people are tired. They come home from work. They say, "All right, play that for a little while, watch this for a little while." And then they get tricked because they think, well, it's a kids thing or it's on a kids channel. And, you're talking about some very disturbing things, beheading and rape, and, you're going very far here. But even things that aren't as gruesome, I have found, you look at the Nickelodeons, you look at the
Netflix,
the Disney Juniors, the whole thing, the Disney, and people put it on, they hear those words and they think, "Oh, this is great." But some of the themes that come on, especially after, say, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, it's the same push of a liberal agenda that we get in our grown-up programs on the networks later. And when you sit and watch with your child, you wonder, if you take these 2 minutes out, the show's fine. But they have to stick in. They have to stick in this agenda to try to get into the child's head. And if you're not parenting all the time and staying super focused and on top of everything, which is, a tough task for even the most hands-on parent, you're going to have a problem with that. And have you found that too, because we're talking rapes and beheadings, but also just an agenda, a liberal agenda of what a family is, of what a father means, of what is appropriate behavior, appropriate dress, appropriate language. And these things aren't depicted in the way that I would think most Christian homes would like.
I couldn't agree more, Kevin. And the thing that I'm getting is what you just said. We've noticed over the last decade that, if there is even a father figure in a TV show, they're laughed at, ridiculed. The kids are telling him what to do.
Yeah.
Or he's drunk or half naked.
Or all of the above. Yeah. And, and this isn't new, but they've done it. It's more... what's the word I'm looking for here? It's more demeaning now. I mean, look, the father's always the butt of the joke. Jackie Gleason, Ralph Cramden was the butt of the jokes. Fred Flintstone was the butt of the jokes. But there was a love there. It was a reciprocation, and he wasn't the only target. Now, if there even is a father, they have him on it, and like you said, he's just a pure dope, and really, and it's not always funny. It's kind of really ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And to go back to I have two quick, one solution and then one shocker deal. As far as the video games, some of the content of how gruesome it's got, and even in TV shows with literally the violence and, like we said earlier, the beheadings and stuff, it's not oddball video games or oddball movies. These, like It just came out. Very graphic and gruesome. I mean, a boy's being dismembered. I mean, You've got the graphic depiction in Friday the 13th and the Grand Theft Auto video game series. Those are the top-selling video game series for our kids. So it's blatant, and it's in our face today. We have celebrities wearing 666 all over their clothing. It's just wild to me. But I do have a solution that will address the problem that you have. A couple of months ago, I did about maybe 20 shows over the summer since June. I literally have been living out of our truck or via plane with 4 young kids, 8 and under. So my husband's like, all right, we have to get an RV at this point. But
that's fun.
I have heard, yeah, exactly. I've heard a lot of families tell me up until June, Tina did amazing content, but I wish that one slide, and fill in the blank of whatever just came out, I wish I would have heard about that scenario 2 days ago, because my daughter just got off the school bus, saw that on YouTube from her friend. She's now having nightmares, can't get it out of her head. Well, after hearing that, 50 times since the beginning of the year, I said, we have to create a pop culture alert. And that's exactly what we did back in April. My husband and I figured out how to get a solution out there. So if people want to text in the word pop culture, no spaces, to 44222, they'll be able to sign up in 3 seconds for a pop culture alert. It's $4.99 a month. $4.99. They get at least an alert once a week for a month, where I let them know ahead of time, here's what's being released, here's what just came out, here's the new warning for this video game, for that movie. This is the best app to put on your kids' phones to keep them safe. And then they find out ahead of time. So we have the power put back in the parents' hands. And parents have loved, after signing up for this, love getting this information ahead of time, so they know how to better engage with their kids before their kids find this gruesome, crazy content.
That's really cool. That's tremendous, because I do a lot of homework before any movie, and some things I know my daughter doesn't like that my son does, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Some things he can handle that she can't, and believe me, none of it's even anywhere near what we just spoke about. Something's just about conflict. If there's like a conflict, my daughter's a little more sensitive. My son's like, whatever. Now, if an animal is involved, my son can't deal with that. He doesn't want to see any puppies hurt, or anything, or lost, or anything like that. So even the simple things like that, I like to do my homework on. So for people not to do it for something like it or something major like that, it's amazing, but it's just true. I coach, I see a lot of children just through my children's friends and how things work, and you see so many parents who just say, they're almost the opposite of what our parents were. They're the ones they're the ones saying, everyone's going to see that movie. And, it used to be where we were told, so what if everyone's going to see it? And now it seems like the parents are just falling for, it's quote-unquote for kids, or it's quote-unquote animated, or whatever their reasoning is. It's Disney, whatever their reasoning is, and they go ahead and let their kids see this. So I would love people to check that out. That's a great idea and a wonderful thing you have going there. We have a lot to talk about. Would you be able to come on with us again next week?
I would love it. That'd be fantastic. I have like 300 more things I want to mention right now. That's a perfect plan.
That would be great. I would like to do that. But before we let you go this time, let everybody know your website and how they can be in contact and see all your great stuff.
Oh, definitely. And once again, to get the pop culture alerts, that's the top thing right now for us. It's to text the word pop culture, no spaces, to 44222, and just sign up within seconds. It'll prompt you on what to do. To get our newsletter, which I have weekly tips every week that comes out into your inbox through our Counterculture Mom newsletter, go to my website, counterculturemom.com. With that, I just want to let you know, Kevin, that we have a lot of great positive entertainment options that are family-friendly as well, that I constantly blog about, constantly talk on, especially on the website.
All right, Tina Marie Griffin, we appreciate you so much. We'll talk to you again soon, okay?
That sounds perfect.
For more on the Counterculture Mom, Tina Marie Griffin, visit counterculturemom.com. Now it's time for Sarah Palin News headlines and more about Governor Palin. These are Palin's words. Are you kidding? What did this self-dubbed king of Instagram just call Sergeant Dakota Meyer? I don't know who the guy is or who he thinks he is, but anyone defending the vulgar punk's character and his self-centered actions during the Vegas rampage, running away from hurt and dying Americans, filming himself amidst the carnage, is as whack as he is, then spewing his specific derogatory term at Dakota, who is the most caring and honorable brother-in-law of my child, who's also called a retard, by degrading haters. Just added proof that the world's upside down as cowardly actions propel one to celebrity status. The dude is sick, and he's not worthy of tying any vet's combat boots. Sarah Palin. An important race for Republicans to win. World's most powerful becomes world's most followed. Rocket Man is never quiet for long. Thoughts and prayers to the family of Tom Petty. Halfway through the 1,000-plus mile Laredo, Mexico trek, traveling with the most inspiring group of guys, including race legends Walker Evans and Don the Snake Prudhomme. Congratulations, McKinley, Miss Alaska Teen. My hardworking, gracious niece goes on to compete in the national pageant. Sarah Palin's words there. Thank you to all who wear the uniform. NFL fans are speaking loud and clear. ABC made a big mistake with this one. A great victory for Roy Moore and all Americans. And thank you, Governor Palin, for featuring my latest piece on the hypocrites at ESPN. To read about all of these stories, you can visit the Mama Grizzly Radio Facebook page. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety and to read her devotionals, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page. Follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and don't miss the new sarahpalin.com. Now let's head to the crow's nest. Here's Tanya Crow.
Thanks, Kevin. I want to take just a moment to pay my respects to all those lives that were lost this week, and my condolences and my prayers to all those loved ones and family and friends that are getting through this tragic event in our American history. And I want them to know that through their bravery and through their courage and through their beautiful expression of humanity during such a dark and treacherous event, it has inspired me in so many levels. And the gratitude that I feel just for my life. We don't know that we're guaranteed the next moment to come, and the reminder of how important it is to be grateful for all that we have. There's so much politics that, I could be addressing this week. That's one of the favorite things that I do on this show, and I'm so grateful to have a platform that I can express my thoughts and speak from the heart to all those Mama Grizzly radio listeners out there. So thank you. I really enjoy doing this show every week, but I just felt like this week I wanted to express gratitude for all that I have, count my blessings, and thank God for every breath that I take, and knowing and acknowledging what a great gift this great life is in this greatest country that is made up of a nation of great citizens, great patriots, and God bless you, and God bless America, and God bless the world. This is Tanya Crow with Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tanya Crow on Mama Grizzly Radio. More from the Crow's Nest next week. Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
It's been a tough week, coming off of the Las Vegas shooting, which I can hardly even utter it as a shooting. It really was an act of domestic terror, just like what Timothy McVeigh did in Oklahoma City. Of course, my thoughts and prayers go out to those victims and their families, and my disgust and contempt for the mainstream media and the liberal progressive Democrats talking only about the negative aspects of what happened, only pushing gun control. And what I've seen is heroes rise. Race, skin color, gender, religion, none of it mattered when those bullets were flying. What I don't want is for our nation to be united only at times when something bad happens. We've always been able to rise when the rest of the world has counted us out. Again and again, the American citizen rises and shines through. For many of us, being vigilant isn't just being watchful of terrorist activity or suspicious of something like that. but it's being vigilant against the tyranny of the federal government in the swamp. We can see the president is not going to be as effective as we all thought on election night because the GOP elite in Washington does not want him to succeed. The never-Trumpers and the swamp rats would prefer that Americans suffer and are kept down and continue into a slow decline because it helps them A, get reelected, and B, fundraise. I think a major reason Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan have no motivation to actually accomplish anything is because winning to them doesn't enable them to raise money. But I beg to differ. I think they're wrong. This week I read something very concerning. It appeared in the dailycaller.com, but you will never hear about this in the mainstream media or even Fox News, and that is that the FBI is warning of more violence from Black identity extremist groups. Yes, this is a new term essentially for domestic terrorism. Black identity extremists. The Counterterrorism Division has warned that more political violence could come from members of these groups. This was from a document dated August 3rd, interestingly, 2 weeks before the violence of Charlottesville. This report points directly to the 2014 Ferguson, Missouri shooting of Michael Brown as the start of the anger and violence on the part of these Black identity extremist groups and the movement overall. And the FBI says that anything perceived by the public or used by these groups that would connote police abuse against African Americans is exactly the fuel that they are looking for, so that the thugs feel justified in their behavior. The FBI further assesses that it is likely additional controversial police shootings of African Americans and the associated legal proceedings will continue to serve as drivers for violence against law enforcement in particular, the report noted. It remains unclear if this means the FBI has declared these BIE, these Black identity extremists, as domestic terrorist threats. The Daily Caller News Foundation did reach out to the FBI for additional comment, but did not get a response by the time this article was published. The FBI also warned its agents about potential threats from Black separatist movements just a few years ago, handing out pamphlets on how to look out for members of this group, according to documents obtained by, believe it or not, the ACLU. Can someone explain to me what is the Black separatist movement? I don't even know what that is. Here's the thing. If you don't like America, get out. Get out. You are free to move to another country. If you want socialized medicine and that's what jazzes you, go to Canada, Cuba, England, or a whole host of other countries. This weekend, I learned from a colleague who was born in New Zealand that getting an MRI or an ultrasound for an injury is at the very minimum a 6-month waiting list. And that is if the government panel approves you to get that. In Dinesh D'Souza's new book, The Big Lie, he explains that classical liberalism is a social compact among citizens who agree to come together for certain benefits and protections that they see in common. The point is that America's natural rights belong to everyone, but civil and constitutional rights are a product of America's social compact. And that social compact comes from the Declaration of Independence and Constitution. So if these Black extremist organizations aren't happy with America and no longer believe in the social compact established by our founding documents, are they terrorists? Where do we go from here? I'd love to know what you think. Tweet me at Tamara Colbert, #MamaGrizzlyRadio. What do we do with extremist groups that are hell-bent on dividing our nation and wreaking havoc, such as violence and mayhem against law-abiding citizens and destruction of private property? If we're a nation of laws, what is the best way to enact them and declare the individual responsible for their actions? You break the law, you go to jail. You attack civilians unprovoked, you go to jail and get punished to the fullest extent of the law. It seems like a no-brainer. I grew up with my parents and grandparents and great-grandparents telling me that my actions have consequences. So it's time for the thugs and the malcontents to understand this fully. And maybe the best way for them to do that is from behind bars. I'm Tamara Colbert for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tamara Colbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy and The Crow's Nest, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of The Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also available at sarahpalin.com by clicking the More tab. Like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Colbert, at Tanya Yoga 13, and at FBR ABQ. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to breitbart.com/columnists/Kevin-Scholla. I'm also contributing to sarahpalin.com. Please check out my latest piece this week. Visit sarahpalin.com/author/Kevin-Scholla. Honored to be working on the governor's new site. I want to thank Tamara Colbert, Tanya Crow, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Tina Marie Griffin, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Full Battle Rattle. Visit facebook.com/Full Battle Rattle ABQ. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update right here on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day, and happy Columbus Day.